Tew was born in Bangkok and studied Chinese and economics at Cambridge University before traveling for 7 years through Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. In 1975, he became a Tai Chi and meditation teacher. He now works as a counselor and provides spiritual care to the dying and their families. In the year 2000, he began working in the slums of Bangkok with the Human Development Foundation, and he now divides his time between Spain and Thailand. He's the author of 4 other works of fiction. Much of Tew's writing looks at the contradiction between contemporary and traditional life in Thailand. So his book, The Curtain of Rain, blends very nicely with our festival theme of changing Asian values. Can you tell us just a bit about the book?
The book is about the relationship between this author and his British editor, who goes out there who's on the verge of entering into a phase of Alzheimer's, and she needs to make peace with a very charged moment in her memory before she can lose the memory. And she thinks that there is a coincidence in one of his pieces of writing, one of his stories, where he mentions something that only she knew about. And so she's intrigued. And from his angle, he's now writing in a situation where the city might be completely destroyed. And he has to face not just his own illness, which is fatal, but also the sense of losing his creativity, and perhaps that his creativity is not really relevant when in such a situation like an extreme flood, such as the one that Bangkok suffered in 2011.
You use the device of some of Taryn's own writing in order to bring the past together with the present throughout the book. And so Taryn's stories that you've included in the book touch on a number of things, but they really settle into a discussion of corruption, prostitution, greed, shady politics. What's the message that you're trying to get across about the social and political landscape of Thailand at the heart of this book?
I didn't really set out with a mission, to analyze Thai culture or Thai political culture, but I wanted to write about what you mentioned at the beginning, this tension, between what Thailand was and what it is becoming. And in order to do so, you have to explore these areas with which I'm very familiar, because when I'm in Bangkok, I work in an area which has been affected by just these issues.
Is there a conflict in society that you're trying to bring out in the book?
Yes. It's a tension more than a conflict. Sometimes it's conflictual, but I think it's this tension that you see in all of Southeast Asia between modernity and traditional values, which throws up anomalies. Sometimes it throws up very grotesque things. Sometimes it throws up very funny things too, as anybody who's been around there has seen. I don't know where it's going. I don't dare to say where we're going, but what I feel is, well, as a writer, is really interesting, is the tension that it creates at the moment, and the dialectic, if you like, between these worlds and between these values.
Is this tension more evident, or let me rephrase that, is the tension evident throughout the country, or is it specifically in Bangkok?
I think it's throughout the country, obviously, but it's centered in Bangkok, it's focused in Bangkok. Bangkok is the central ground where the drama is taking place.
You have a portion of the book that you're going to read that I think focuses on some of that tension in Bangkok. Can you read for us?
Okay. This is just a section written by the author who I write about. And it's, I think it's obvious what it's about. It's called Madjom and the American. And Adrienne said 4 minutes. So
So we're
going to try and be 4 minutes, okay. Bangkok under a white haze. In all directions, a jagged skyline of irregular glass peaks that pierce the bleached canopy. Unfinished buildings exposing naked concrete, rusting rebar, cranes perching on top like idle crows waiting for the next dubious downpour of construction cash. Madjom feels threatened by the chaotic unfamiliarity of the city. She has been gone for 40 years. It could have been 400. She recognizes neither place, nor pace, nor proportion. Gone is the wide, sleepy sense of space. She searches for a reference point, but cannot establish her bearings. She looks again at the neatly written directions on the damp scrap of paper in her hand, but for a moment they seem incomprehensible. Madjom tightens her grip on her small suitcase and walks uncertainly in the direction of the signposted SkyTrain arrow, falling in behind a confident-looking couple who seem to know how to find the platform. She stays close to the pair. The man, a Farang, in his early 30s, about 6 feet tall, lean and broad-shouldered, and wearing a black T-shirt decorated with an image of a huge green ganja leaf, blue, knee-length denim shorts roughly cut from an old pair of jeans. The girl by his side, even in her extra high heels, is barely half his height and deceptively young, with light makeup and smooth, taut skin. She's wearing a classic hostess outfit, more suited to the night. Her tight, low-cut, short and fitted red dress pushes her small breasts upward and together, emphasizing cleavage. She has a pink plastic handbag tucked under her left arm. She is dark, with shiny black hair so long it reaches the small of her back. Together, these two create a spatial island that makes Madjom feel safe as she hovers at its edge. People pretend with half smiles not to notice the Farang on the increasingly crowded platform, or the girl, whose face, devoid of any expression, brings back strong and unwelcome memories for Madjom. It is impossible to guess what the girl might be thinking or feeling. The Farang is standing close to her, the back of his right hand touching her bare upper arm below the shoulder, stroking upward with the most delicate and languid of movements. There is a look of melting tenderness and adoration in his eyes, a contentment that excludes them from the rest of the world. The girl does not respond, but Madjom now recalls such intimacy, and her own arm begins to tingle, touched by a ghost. Had it not been for the incongruous couple, she might have felt self-conscious among the smart city people milling on the platform, because she is aware that she looks different from them. It isn't just because of what she is wearing. For the journey to the capital, she chose the clothes she reserved for the temple, weddings and funerals. Dark brown trousers, a light cotton blouse, tired slip-ons. It is her grey hair, cut short in the traditional way, her air of awkwardness, her cheap handbag, her skin grilled dark by the fierce sun of the northeast. Madjom feels grateful for the invisibility accorded her by the presence of the couple. A gust of warm air precedes the arrival of the sleek train, and Madjom is swept up in the crowd as they board. She must concentrate now on the task at hand, to get to the shop house where she will be staying with Naipot, her young cousin, who has made all the arrangements. His place is far from the bus station, on the other side of the river, in Thonburi, and a long walk from the last stop of the train. He will find her at dusk when he finishes work. Be careful, he warned in his instructions. Bangkok now is nothing like the city you knew. It is no longer so friendly and easygoing. There are many bad people waiting to take advantage of newcomers from the countryside and from the borderlands. That evening, Madjom lies in bed, listening to the dull, thumping rhythms of the Luk Tung band playing in the market, and the doleful voice of the singer over the microphone lamenting lost love. She feels exhausted from the journey down and the trek across the city. Now, in the trance-like state produced by the music, she keeps returning to the farang and the girl in the red dress, and she recalls the love light of affection in the tall man's eyes, and suddenly, with searing, intense pain, a memory shoots through her consciousness.
Mahjong is a fictional character within a fictional book.
Yes.
So it's a book within a book. The main characters are Claire and Taryn.
Yes.
And they're both dying. But it's very important, as you said, for Claire to meet Taryn, because there was something in his writing that struck a chord with her. And so they meet. And without giving anything away, what's achieved by their meeting?
In her case, and for this I drew from the years I spent with my mother, who was Alzheimer's. Sometimes, in order to forget, you have to remember and make peace with that memory to be able to let go of it, to die with it. And that's what Claire was able to do with Taryn's witnessing.
And does Taryn get something out of this meeting as well?
Taryn recovers the sense that story writing and storytelling will always be valid and will always be something worth doing, even if it ends up, all the stuff ends up in the waters.
So he's validated his life in a way, in his mission. Just changing the focus just a little bit, there is a feeling throughout the book of the characters being inside a situation, but also being outside. And I wonder how that relates to your own life, living part of your time in Spain and part of your time in Thailand. Are you an insider and an outsider?
Yes. I mean, I've always felt like an extraterrestrial, outside of everything, but with moments of being inside. And like, I grew up in England, so I've always been inside, but I've never felt inside. I've never felt identified with being British or anything like that, although I went through the whole gamut, you know?
Sure.
And in Thailand, when I go back there, I'm totally inside. I walk the slums. I work in places that a lot of people coming from my background have never ventured, if you like. So I feel inside there. But I've always felt this. When I was younger, it was a disadvantage. It was painful, not to totally belong anywhere, not to totally identify with anywhere. But with age, and also as a writer, I've lived this as an advantage, where I can be inside, totally inside a society, and then having this advantage of stepping out and looking at it from a different angle.